Welcome to my channel, my friends. Let me ask you a question. Why do we always make mistakes when we try to speak English? Maybe you study hard, you learn many new words, but when the time comes to speak, suddenly those words disappear. Maybe you practice grammar, you do exercises in your book, but when you open your mouth, everything feels wrong. Maybe you feel like mistakes are always chasing you, no matter how much you try. Do you ever feel this way? If yes, you are not alone. I also felt the same. I also made mistake after mistake, and sometimes I even thought, maybe I can never be good in English. But let me tell you something important. Mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are your best teacher. Every mistake you make is a sign that you are learning, that you are growing, that you are moving forward. Without mistakes, there is no progress. Think about when you were a child learning to walk. You fell many times, but each fall made you stronger. The same is true for English. In this video, we will discover why I always make mistakes, and how those mistakes helped me become better. Stay with me until the end, because this truth may change the way you see your English journey forever. Chapter 1: The Nature of Mistakes. When I think about the first days of my English learning, I always smile. At that time, I did not know much. My sentences were broken, my words were missing, and sometimes people laughed when I tried to speak. I remember one day I wanted to say, "I am hungry," but I said, "I am angry." The people around me laughed, and I felt so small. I thought maybe I should stop speaking. But then I realized something. Every person who learns a language goes through this. You cannot learn without mistakes. Just like a baby cannot learn to walk without falling, you cannot learn English without saying something wrong. Mistakes are the beginning of learning, not the end. In the beginning, I was confused most of the time. Words sounded strange, grammar rules felt heavy, and my tongue did not move the way I wanted. I would think in my language, then translate slowly into English, and the result was always a strange sentence. I wanted to say one thing, but something different came out. Maybe you also feel this way when you speak. It is natural. This is the nature of learning. Mistakes come first, and fluency comes later. Think about when you learned to walk as a child. No one walked perfectly on the first day. You stood up, you fell down, you tried again. Your parents did not get angry at you. They smiled, they encouraged you, they clapped when you took even one small step. Why? Because they knew mistakes are part of walking. Falling is not failure. Falling is practice. The same is true for English. Every wrong word, every broken sentence, every mistake you make is practice. It is not a sign that you cannot do it. It is a sign that you are on the right path. I like to think of mistakes as seeds. Imagine you have a small seed in your hand. You put it in the ground. At first, nothing happens. You wait 1 day, 2 days, and you see nothing. But under the ground, something is happening. The seed is opening, small roots are growing. With time, a little green plant comes out. It grows slowly, but one day it becomes a tree. In the same way, each mistake you make is like watering the seed. You may not see the result today. You may feel like you are only failing. But slowly, your brain is growing. Each mistake teaches your brain a new lesson. And one day, like a tree, your fluency will appear strong and beautiful. I will tell you something that may surprise you. Every fluent speaker you admire today was once a beginner. Every great English speaker made hundreds, even thousands of mistakes. Nobody started speaking perfectly. Do you know the difference between them and the people who gave up? The fluent speakers did not stop. They accepted their mistakes and used them as fuel. They understood the nature of mistakes. that mistakes are not enemies but teachers. So, if you are making mistakes, you are already walking the same road as every successful learner before you. When I was a young student, I had a teacher who told me something I never forgot. She said, "If you never make mistakes, it means you are not trying." At first, I did not understand. I thought making mistakes was bad. But later, I understood the wisdom. The only way to never make mistakes is to never speak, to never try. But if you try, if you open your mouth and say something in English, mistakes will come. And that is good, because mistakes mean you are alive in your learning. Mistakes mean you are moving forward. Let me share another short story. I had a student who was very serious about English. He memorized words, studied grammar, and wanted to be perfect. But he never spoke. He said, "Teacher, I don't want to make mistakes in front of others." I told him, "If you wait for the day when you make no mistakes, you will wait forever." One day he finally spoke, and yes, he made many mistakes. But something amazing happened. He felt free. He understood that mistakes did not kill him. Nobody laughed. Instead, people helped him. From that day, he started to improve. Here is a top moment I want you to remember. Every mistake is a step forward. Imagine walking on a long road. Each step brings you closer to your destination. Some steps may be slow, some may be clumsy, but they are still steps. If you stop walking, you never reach the end. But if you keep walking, step by step, mistake by mistake, one day you will arrive. Fluency is not one big jump. It is many small steps filled with mistakes. Now let me give you a spike to wake up your motivation. Think about your favorite English speaker, maybe an actor, a singer, or a YouTuber. Do you think they spoke perfectly on the first day? Of course not. They made mistakes again and again, just like you. The only difference is that you see them now, after years of practice. You do not see the beginning, the confusion, the failures. But I promise you, they went through it. If they can do it, you can too. You are not different. You are not weaker. You are just at the beginning of the same journey. So, my dear friend, do not be afraid of the nature of mistakes. They are not proof that you cannot speak English. They are proof that you are learning English. They are signs that you are alive, active, and growing. Every mistake you make today is building the strong speaker you will become tomorrow. Remember the seed, remember the road, and remember the truth. Mistakes are the beginning of your success. Chapter 2: Why We Fear Mistakes. Fear is a strange thing, my friends. When we are small children, we are not afraid to try. A child will try to walk, fall, cry a little, and then stand up again. A child will try to say new words, even if they sound funny. But something changes as we grow older. We begin to feel shy. We begin to care about what others think. And when we start learning English, this fear becomes very strong. Many students tell me, "I know some words, I know some grammar, but I am afraid to speak." Why? Because they don't want to be wrong. They don't want people to laugh. They don't want to feel small. And so, instead of speaking, they stay silent. I remember one student very clearly. Her name was Sarah. She was one of the smartest students in my class. She always did her homework, she always knew the answers, but she almost never opened her mouth in class. For months she stayed silent, and I could see her eyes when I asked a question. She knew the answer, but her lips refused to move. I asked her one day, "Why don't you speak?" She looked down and said softly, "I don't want to make a mistake. People will laugh at me." I understood her pain, because I had felt the same before. But I also knew something she did not know yet. silence is more dangerous than mistakes. Because silence keeps you in the same place forever, but mistakes move you forward. So I told Sarah, "From today, I want you to speak, even if you are wrong. I don't care if you make 10 mistakes in one sentence. I only care that you try." At first she was shocked. She thought a teacher would be angry about mistakes, but I gave her permission to be wrong. The next week, she tried. Her sentences were broken. Her grammar was not correct, but she was speaking. And then something magical happened. Every week her sentences became better. Her confidence grew, and after a few months, she was one of the best speakers in the group. Do you see the lesson? She did not improve when she was silent. She improved only when she allowed herself to be wrong. This is what I call the fear barrier. Imagine a big wall inside your mind. On one side is silence, safety, and comfort. On the other side is progress, fluency, and confidence. But the wall is made of fear. When you focus too much on perfection, your brain freezes. You want to say something, but your mouth feels locked. You want to join a conversation, but the words hide inside you. This is not because you don't know enough English. It is because fear is controlling you. And the only way to break the fear barrier is to make mistakes openly, without shame. Here is the top moment, my friends. A mistake is like a mirror. It shows you where you are weak. Without that mirror, you cannot see yourself. Imagine if you never looked in a mirror. How would you know if your hair is messy or if there is dirt on your face? The mirror tells you the truth. In the same way, mistakes show you the truth about your English. If you use the wrong tense, the mistake shows you where to practice. If you forget a word, the mistake tells you which word you need to learn. So why be afraid of the mirror? Without it, you will never improve. And now let me give you a spike, a question that may touch your heart. Are you silent because you fear mistakes? Think carefully. How many chances have you missed because you did not want to be wrong? How many times did you stay quiet in class or in front of friends because fear held your tongue? If you answered yes, then know this: you are not alone. Many learners live behind the fear barrier. But the good news is, you can break it today. All it takes is one small decision: to speak, even when you are not perfect. Remember, my friends, every fluent English speaker you admire today was once a beginner. They also made hundreds of mistakes. They also felt fear. But they chose to speak anyway. And slowly, mistake by mistake, they became strong. If they can do it, so can you. So let us not hide behind silence anymore. Let us walk into mistakes bravely, because each mistake is a door to better English. Chapter 3: Mistakes as the Best Teacher. When I first started learning English, I thought mistakes were something to avoid at all costs. I thought if I said something wrong, people would laugh, or I would sound stupid, or others would think I was not good enough. But the truth is very different. Mistakes are not the end. Mistakes are the beginning of learning. Without mistakes, you never grow. Think about a baby who is learning to walk. Do they fall? Yes. Do they cry? Sometimes. Do they stop walking? Never. Every fall is not the end of walking, it is the beginning. And it is the same with English. Every time you forget a word, every time you pronounce something wrong, every time your grammar is not perfect, you are walking. You are learning. You are getting closer to fluency, even if you cannot see it yet. I still remember one of my first mistakes in English. I was in class and I wanted to say, "I am hungry." But instead I said, "I am angry." The whole class laughed, and at that moment, I felt embarrassed. My face was red, my heart was beating fast, and I wished I could disappear. But later, when I calmed down, I thought about it. That one mistake burned in my memory. After that day, I never confused hungry and angry again. Do you see what happened? The mistake became my teacher. A teacher who did not leave my memory. And the best part? That teacher stayed with me forever. Even today, I smile when I remember that moment, because it was the mistake that gave me strength to improve. Another time, I was talking with someone and wanted to say beach, but my pronunciation was wrong. You can imagine what happened. The word sounded like something very different, something that made the other person laugh. I was so embarrassed I wanted to stop speaking forever. But again, after that moment, I practiced the sound many times. I repeated it slowly, I listened to recordings, I even said it out loud when I was alone. That mistake, as painful as it was, became the reason I finally mastered the word. Without that mistake, maybe I would still be pronouncing it wrong today. I once had a student who taught me a very important lesson about mistakes. She was not the best student in grammar, not the best in vocabulary, and not the best in pronunciation. But she had one special quality: she laughed at her mistakes. Every time she said something wrong, she would smile, sometimes laugh, and then try again. At first, other students looked at her strangely. They thought she was not serious about learning. But something surprising happened. She improved faster than everyone else. While other students were afraid to open their mouth, she was speaking all the time, making mistakes, laughing, correcting herself, and moving forward. She understood something important. Mistakes are not enemies, they are friends. They show you what you need to fix, and they give you the power to practice more. This brings us to a very powerful truth. The mistake is not the end. It is the beginning of learning. Every time you make a mistake, you are starting a new lesson. If you forget a word today, tomorrow you will remember it better. If you pronounce something wrong today, tomorrow your mouth will know how to shape the sound. If your grammar is wrong today, tomorrow your brain will understand the structure more deeply. Mistakes are the doors to improvement, but many students are afraid to open those doors. They stand outside, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until they know everything. But let me tell you a secret: the perfect moment never comes. If you wait, you will stay silent forever. But if you make mistakes, you will grow faster than you imagine. Now let me ask you something important. Think about today. Did you make a mistake in English? Maybe you forgot a word. Maybe you used the wrong tense. Maybe your pronunciation was not clear. Don't run away from that mistake. Don't feel ashamed. Instead, look at it like a mirror. The mirror is showing you the truth. This is where you are weak. This is where you need to grow. And that is beautiful. Because once you see the weakness, you can turn it into strength. This is your spike moment. Are you ready? Stop for a second and think of one mistake you made today. Don't hide it. Bring it into your mind. Now ask yourself, what did this mistake teach me? If you can answer that question, you have already transformed your mistake into a lesson. I will share one last story. There was a student who was so afraid of making mistakes that he spoke very slowly. Every word he said, he checked it in his mind many times before he opened his mouth. But the result was that he spoke only a few words in a whole hour. His progress was very slow. Then one day I told him, "I give you permission to make as many mistakes as possible today." He was surprised, but he tried. He spoke more, he made mistakes, and yes, sometimes we laughed together. But at the end of the lesson, he said something powerful. "I feel free. I learned more in 1 hour than in 1 month." That is the power of mistakes. They are not chains that hold you back. They are wings that help you fly. So remember, mistakes are your best teacher. They will not punish you, they will guide you. They will not stop you, they will push you forward. And every time you make one, you are not failing, you are learning. Embrace your mistakes, because they are the key to your fluency. Chapter 4: How to Use Mistakes. Now that we understand mistakes are not our enemy but our teacher, the question is this: how do we actually use them? How do we turn every mistake into a lesson, into progress, into confidence? Because just knowing that mistakes are good is not enough. We need to know how to practice with them. We need a system, a way to grow from each wrong word, each forgotten phrase, each confusing sentence. And let me tell you something. This part is powerful, because if you learn to use mistakes, they will carry you forward faster than anything else. Let me share a story with you about two students I taught. They were both smart, hardworking, and motivated, but their results were very different. The first student made mistakes in class, but she always tried to hide them. If she used the wrong word, she would change the subject quickly. If she made a grammar mistake, she would stop speaking. She did not want others to notice. She thought hiding her mistakes would make her look smarter. But the truth is, she stayed at the same level for a long time. She was not learning from her errors, she was covering them like dust under the carpet. The second student was very different. When he made mistakes, he did something simple but powerful. He wrote them down in a notebook. He did not hide them. He looked at them. He even asked me to correct him again. At the end of each lesson, he reviewed the mistakes and tried to use the correct version in a new sentence. Slowly, his list of mistakes became his list of lessons. After 3 months, his English was far ahead of the first student. Not because he studied more, but because he was brave enough to face his mistakes and use them. This brings us to the first practical method: write down your mistakes. It may sound simple, but very few students do it. Whenever you say something wrong, or forget a word, or use the wrong grammar, don't hide it. Write it in a notebook, or on your phone. Later, practice the correct version again. Every time you do this, you are turning a mistake into knowledge. And every note you write is like a brick building your English house. Another way to use mistakes is to repeat the sentence correctly. Let's say you said, "He go to school yesterday." Of course, that is not correct. Maybe your teacher or friend tells you, "No, it should be he went to school yesterday." What should you do? Don't just nod and move on. Repeat the correct sentence aloud. He went to school yesterday. He went to school yesterday. Feel the rhythm. Feel the grammar, feel the pronunciation. By repeating it, you are teaching your brain to remember the right way. You are training your mouth to speak smoothly next time. Now let's add another method: ask for correction. Some learners don't like being corrected, but this is a mistake in itself. If you have a teacher, a partner, or even a friend who knows more English, tell them, "Please correct me when I make a mistake." Sometimes people stay silent because they don't want to embarrass you. But if you invite correction, you are telling them, "Help me grow." And trust me, this will make your progress much faster. Here comes the top moment of this chapter. Every mistake is like a teacher sitting beside you. Imagine that each wrong word is a teacher whispering, "This is the lesson you need right now." If you listen, you will improve. If you ignore it, you will miss the lesson. So, don't run away from your teacher. Sit with them. Learn from them. But I want to give you something even more powerful. This is like a secret method that not many learners use. Record yourself when you speak English. Yes, record your voice. It might feel strange at first, but it is one of the best ways to catch your mistakes. When you speak, you don't notice every error. But when you listen to your recording, you will hear things you missed. Maybe you said he go instead of he goes. Maybe you pronounced a word wrongly. Maybe you used the same phrase too many times. Listening to yourself is like having your own personal teacher. You become both the student and the coach. And the best part is, you can do it anytime, anywhere, even alone. This method will train your ears, your mouth, and your brain together. Now let me give you one more story. I had a student who used this recording method every day. At first he was shy, because he didn't like the sound of his own voice. But slowly he got used to it. He made a habit. Speak for 5 minutes, record, then listen and write down 3 mistakes. After 6 months, his fluency exploded. Not because he was perfect, but because he used every mistake as a lesson. While other students were afraid of mistakes, he was collecting them like gold. So my friends, don't hide your mistakes, don't fear them, and don't ignore them. Write them down, repeat the correct version, ask for correction, and use recordings to catch even more. Every mistake is a teacher, and the more teachers you have, the faster you will learn. And now, let me ask you this spike question. Do you want to keep hiding your mistakes, or do you want to turn them into your greatest teacher? Think about it, because your answer will decide how fast you grow. Chapter 5: The Power of Repetition After Mistakes. When we think about mistakes, we often stop after the error. We say something wrong, we feel bad, and then we move on, hoping we will not repeat it again. But the truth is, the mistake itself is not enough to help us learn. What helps us grow is what we do after the mistake. Imagine you play a wrong note on a piano. If you just close the piano and walk away, will you ever get better? Of course not. You need to play the note again, but this time correctly. The same is true with English. Every mistake is a chance to repeat, and every repetition makes your brain stronger. This is why repetition after mistakes is the secret bridge between errors and fluency. I remember one student very clearly. She always confused he and she. Whenever she talked about her brother, she said, "She is my brother." And whenever she talked about her sister, she said, "He is my sister." At first, everyone laughed. She felt shy, and she wanted to stop speaking. But I told her something important. Your mistake is not the problem. The problem is stopping. If you repeat the correct version again and again, soon your brain will learn it. So every time she said it wrong, I stopped her gently and asked her to say it again, correctly. She would smile and repeat, "He is my brother. She is my sister." She did this every single day. At first it was slow and funny. But after 2 weeks, she started to say it right without even thinking. The mistake was not her enemy. The mistake became her teacher, and repetition was the tool that turned the lesson into memory. This is the power of repetition. The brain is like a path in the forest. The first time you walk, the grass is high, and there is no clear way. But if you walk the same way every day, soon the path becomes clear, and you can walk easily. A mistake is like walking in the wrong direction, but repetition pulls you back to the right path, again and again, until it feels natural. This is how fluency is built. Not from perfect speaking, but from mistakes followed by correction and repetition. Let me share another example. I once worked with a man who always said, "I go yesterday." He used the present tense for past actions. At first, he was very frustrated. He thought he would never learn the past tense. But I gave him a small exercise. Every time he said, "I go yesterday," I asked him to stop, breathe, and say, "I went yesterday." Not once. Not twice. But 3 times in a row. He was surprised. He asked me, why 3 times? I told him, because 1 time is not enough for your brain. 2 times is better, but 3 times makes your brain pay attention. 3 times tells your memory, this is important. After 1 month of this simple exercise, he stopped saying, I go yesterday. Now he naturally says, I went yesterday. And he laughs when he remembers his old mistake. Here comes the top moment of this chapter. Mistake plus correction plus repetition equals fluency. This is the formula. A mistake is the signal. Correction is the lesson. Repetition is the practice. And when you combine all three, you get fluency. Many students stop at the mistake. Some go to the correction. But very few repeat enough times to make it permanent. If you want to be different, if you want to grow faster, then you must use repetition as your best tool. And here is the spike for you, my friend. Next time you make a mistake, don't stop. Don't feel bad. Don't hide. Instead, repeat it correctly 3 times. Try it with me now. Imagine you said, "He is my sister." Stop. Smile. And say, "She is my sister. She is my sister. She is my sister." Can you feel the difference? Your mouth starts to move more smoothly. Your brain starts to remember. The mistake turns into learning. This is how repetition transforms weakness into strength. When we are children, this is how we learn everything. A child does not walk perfectly on the first try. They fall. They stand. They fall again. But each time, they repeat the movement. And slowly, the brain and body work together until walking becomes natural. The same process works for speaking English. You must fall, repeat, and stand again until fluency becomes natural. So remember, repetition is not boring. Repetition is magic. It takes your mistakes and turns them into power. It takes your fear and turns it into confidence. It takes your weak English and makes it strong. Every time you repeat after a mistake, you are telling your brain, I am learning. I am growing. I am building fluency. And little by little, day by day, your English becomes smoother, faster, and more natural. Mistakes will come again and again. That is normal. But now you know the secret. Don't run away, don't stop, and don't be silent. Instead, use the mistake, correct it, and repeat it. Because repetition after mistakes is not just practice, it is the road to fluency. Chapter 6. Turning Mistakes into Confidence. When you first begin learning English, mistakes feel heavy. They sit on your shoulders like stones. Every wrong word feels like proof that you are not good enough. Every slip in grammar feels like a spotlight shining on your weakness. But here is the truth. Mistakes are not weights that hold you down. They are steps that lift you up. They don't just teach you new words and grammar. They build something much deeper. They build courage. They build confidence. They build the kind of strength you need not only for English, but for life itself. I remember one student named Maria. She was so shy that in her first lessons she almost whispered her answers. If she made even the smallest mistake, her face turned red and she wanted to hide. But over time, something changed. She started to see that her mistakes were not the end of the story. She saw that when she said the wrong word, the teacher corrected her, and the world did not end. When she forgot grammar, her classmates still listened and understood. Slowly, she realized that mistakes were not enemies. They were friends in disguise. One day, she told me something powerful. She said, "When I make mistakes and survive, I feel stronger." That was her turning point. She no longer waited for the perfect sentence before speaking. She just spoke. And the more she spoke, the more confidence she grew. By the end of the year, she was the student who spoke the most in class. Her grammar was not perfect, but her voice was strong, and everyone respected her for that strength. This is what mistakes can give you if you let them. They give you courage. They teach you that you don't need to be perfect to be understood, to be respected, to be heard. Mistakes are not scars on your record. They are medals of your journey. Each mistake is like a medal on your chest that says, I tried. I spoke. I moved forward. And the more medals you collect, the stronger you feel. Think about it. Teachers respect the student who tries again and again, even with mistakes, more than the student who stays silent. Friends admire the person who is brave enough to speak, even with broken sentences, more than the one who never dares. Strangers smile when they see your effort, because they know learning a language is not easy. What they remember is not your mistake, but your courage. The mistake becomes your proof of progress. It shows you that you are not standing still. Imagine if you never made a mistake. That would mean you never tried, you never stretched, you never stepped outside your comfort zone. Silence may protect you from mistakes, but it also locks you inside fear. Speaking and making mistakes may feel scary, but it breaks the chains. Every mistake you make in English is like breaking one more link in that chain, until one day, you are free. Here is the top moment to remember. Mistakes are not scars. They are medals of your journey. Say it to yourself the next time you feel afraid. Say it when you remember your mistakes from yesterday. They are medals, not scars. I once had another student, Ollie. He was serious, quiet, and always tried to be perfect. But because of this, he rarely spoke. Another student, Aisha, was the opposite. She laughed at her own mistakes. If she used the wrong word, she would smile and say, "Oops, I did it again." And then try the correct version. Do you know who learned faster? Aisha. Why? Because she turned mistakes into energy. She did not see them as shame. She saw them as practice. And with every mistake, her confidence grew. Ollie stayed the same, still waiting for perfection, still afraid of errors. That is why I tell every learner, do not hide from mistakes, because they are the very thing that will give you the strength to speak with freedom. Now here comes the spike for you, the viewer. Think about your own mistakes. Do you feel ashamed of them, or do you celebrate them? The next time you make a mistake, I want you to do something different. Instead of feeling embarrassed, smile and say to yourself, "This is my medal." Imagine hanging it on your wall, one by one, mistake after mistake, until the wall is covered with medals that tell the story of your courage. Confidence is not born from perfection. Confidence is born from mistakes, from survival, from standing up after every fall. When a baby learns to walk, they fall hundreds of times. And with every fall, they get stronger. Do we laugh at the baby for falling? No. We clap when they stand again. In the same way, when you make mistakes in English, do not feel small. Feel proud that you are walking forward. So the lesson of this chapter is clear. Let your mistakes become your power. Let them shape you, guide you, and make you stronger. Every time you speak and make a mistake, you are training your courage. Every mistake you collect is proof that you are growing. Every mistake is a medal that shines on your journey. And now, my dear friends, I want to tell you one last thing. Do not fight your mistakes, make friends with them. Every mistake means you are learning. Every mistake means you are moving forward. A mistake is not a stop sign. It is a green light that says, "Go on, keep trying." So the next time you say something wrong, do not feel ashamed. Smile, correct yourself, and speak again. This is the secret to fluency. This is the road that all great learners take. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Tell me, what mistake do you often make in English? Maybe you forget words. Maybe you mix grammar. Maybe you say something funny. Whatever it is, share it. Because when you speak about your mistakes, you also show your courage. And together, we will grow stronger.